Hi, hello everyone. So as Jamie said, I used to be a high school social studies teacher, and it took me a little while, but I couldn't figure out why a lot of my kids they couldn't learn. They had a really hard time focusing. And finally one day it dawned on me when I saw one of my students walking into the classroom with a 2-liter bottle of soda and a bag of Doritos, and that was breakfast. And I was like, oh boy, that can't be good. So in my mind, you know, it's just like a sugar high and a sugar crash, and you just can't learn. So in my mind, I thought, okay, how am I going to get these kids to eat vegetables? Because that's like the healthy alternative. And it wasn't going to be at school. I thought if we built farms where kids are and they see how vegetables grow, they'll be more likely to eat them. It was so simple, right? But I was young and idealistic and a little bit naive. So I started researching urban farming, and I found aquaponics and greenhouse growing, and I thought, this is it. We can grow food in New York year-round using these methods. So I built Main Street Farms in Homer. This is the first farm. It's a 1-acre farm. The picture on the bottom right is our aquaponics greenhouse, and basically what aquaponics is we raise fish in tanks, and then we take the water from the fish tank and we circulate it in our vegetable systems. And the vegetables use the fish waste to grow, and that water gets clean and comes back to our fish tanks. So from the very beginning, part of the mission of the farm was to provide education to the community, but it wasn't part of the business plan, right? Because schools aren't going to have any extra money for field trips, and obviously, being a teacher, I knew that. So we started doing, while we were farming full-time, so I quit my job teaching, I started farming full-time, and at the same time, we provided a lot of educational services. So we did high school field trips. We started going into classrooms and setting up these little mini aquaponic systems so that teachers can kind of have an interactive learning tool about where your food comes from. We took interns. We educated every 4th and 6th grader in Cortland County about aquaponics and the benefits of local food. We had college classes come to us so we could teach them about local agriculture and the benefits of sustainable food and aquaponics. We also opened up our farm to let other people do research there. So we had someone, and we have someone growing oyster mushrooms now, and we're also raising bugs to feed to our fish. So we're doing all sorts of educational stuff, and sometimes we actually just joke around that the real mission of our farm is simply just to brainwash children into eating vegetables. So after we filled up every square foot on that 1 acre in Homer, we decided we should probably start another farm. So the obvious choice was the city of Cortland. We found this vacant 1.5-acre lot right off Main Street in a low-income neighborhood. The thing was, this is only going to be our 3rd year of farming. We didn't really have any money. We didn't have the resources to get it going. Luckily, though, along the way, with all of these educational programs that we were doing, we made a ton of friends in the community. And so a local nonprofit stepped up that had interest in food access and healthy communities, and they gave us some money for infrastructure. Then the land, which is owned by a small local business, the business owner said, you know what, I'll lease you the land for really, really, really cheap. And not only did they lease us the land for practically nothing, then they built us that really, really sweet fence. We still needed a little bit more cash to get the farm up and running this summer. So we turned to a crowdfunding website called Kickstarter. And through Kickstarter, we had about 170 local people backing the farm in exchange for like food prizes once the farm was up and running. And so this is a picture from this summer where we were just kind of getting the whole farm ready and getting the beds ready. Really, the new farm in Cortland, it just gives us another place to do education. This is a group of 3- and 4-year-olds from the local YW learning about farming and harvesting turnips. So we really are focused on the community aspects of our farm and of urban agriculture in general, because that's really what makes it work. These are just some of the partners that we are currently working with or have worked with, and I can't stress enough that without some of these people up on here, and you know who you are because there's some people out here, our second farm would not exist. It would not be possible. So I thank everyone for that. So I get asked to speak about it, about their farm sometimes, and over the summer I was at a Rotary Club talking, and it was a group of business people and community leaders, and I was telling them about the aquaponics side of the farm, and they were really, really interested in it. And having a lot of business people in the room, their first reaction was, hey, you know what? If you scale this up really, really big, you can probably make a lot of money. And I thought to myself, like, well, probably, wouldn't that be nice? But really, if we did that, we wouldn't be located in the city of Cortland or the village of Homer. We'd be located somewhere far out of town where the land was cheap and the taxes were low and there was a highway, and we would lose all of these community connections. And going back to our original ideals of brainwashing children to eat vegetables, it wouldn't be possible. So we kind of realized that we had stumbled upon like a new business model of farming, and we just coined it community farming. The idea is we have to grow food where people live. And not only that, but we have to be open to be kind of a hub for the culture of food. People come together and they have to experience food hands-on in a different way. And this way, they'll be more likely to eat their vegetables. The thing is about local food, traditionally, it's geared more towards people who are either health nuts, or they're just educated about it, or they have money to spend. And well, located in Cortland and anywhere else in the country, a lot of people rely on the food stamp program, the EBT benefit cards to supplement their dietary needs. And being located in a low-income neighborhood, one of the things for us was how do we get fresh vegetables into some of these households? So we partnered up with an organization called CAPCO. It's the Cortland County Community Action Program, and we started a low-income CSA. And a CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. The way it works is at the beginning of the year, you pay usually around $500, and you buy a share in the farm. And so for every week from about June till November, you get a box of fresh food. The thing is, if you're on like a food stamp program or you have limited income, to shell $500 out at the beginning of the summer for food for the next 20 weeks is really, really difficult. So partnering up with CAPCO, what we did is we got a mobile EBT food stamp machine that connects to your iPhone. We were one of the first people in New York to have it. It's kind of a pilot program. And what we could do this way, every Friday when I came to drop off the boxes of food at the CAPCO office, I could swipe people's cards and they could pay for that food during that week when they could afford it. So that worked out really, really well. So I would do my Friday routine. I would come into CAPCO, I would put the vegetables on the table, and I would have to pull some of them out and explain what they were and how to cook them. Because we had things like garlic scapes, or the Japanese turnips, or bok choy, things you normally wouldn't buy in a grocery store, but they're really healthy for you. They taste great, and they grow really, really well in upstate New York. So one week I come in and I put the bags of food on the table, and before I could even say anything, one of the ladies, her name was Ellen, she reaches in the bag and she grabs a bok choy and she holds it up in the air and she proclaims that she now loves this vegetable. Well, she didn't even know this vegetable existed last week. So just like that, we had turned on even one person to something totally new and something local. And that story that instance reminded me we're not just a farm. We're a group of people slowly working to change the habits and the culture around food and around what we eat. Now, we can't compete with the grocery store. It's not possible for a small farm. We can't compete with the economies of scale of industrialized agriculture. We can't compete with the out-of-season vegetables that are grown in California using underpaid migrant workers. What we can do is we can grow seasonally appropriate vegetables in upstate New York, and then we can teach our friends and neighbors and customers and CSA shareholders what to do with those vegetables. We can show people how to contribute some money back into their local economy. We can also reclaim vacant city lots. Little by little, we can provide vegetables to people's diets and maybe help them improve their health. So we can help people, no farms, and no food.